Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today we're going to be talking about Past Lives. This is the recent A24 film that has been out in theaters, and I believe it's the directorial debut of the director whose name is Celine Song, I think it is. And we recently had a chance to watch this film.
Yes.
And it was very, 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 very hyped up as an amazing, amazing movie. And on that front, I agree. It's a great film. A very much slice of life movie, which I think comes with its detractors as well as its positives. First of all, the performances, immaculate. Like I don't think there's a single bad performance in the film. The cinematography I really enjoyed. It was
the script too. I thought the script was very solid.
I agree. Yeah. And the connection and the story through these characters, you really do feel. It does feel incredibly natural. Like nothing feels false or out of place. Yeah. And I also think that it from seemingly it's shot all on location, which if that's not the case, very well done, because it convinced me that it was. Yeah. And you know, kind of traveling the world with these characters, but also, you know, the world of what's going on in their minds at the time. You know, I thought just, you know, being on this journey, a journey that's very predictable, but at the same time, how you went on the journey was incredibly enjoyable. I thought it was emotionally resonant. I thought it was very down to earth, and I think overall it achieved its goal.
I liked what you had said. What was the director you were talking about with the observation? I liked that point.
Oh, okay.
We were talking.
Yeah. So when we were talking in the theater last night, it's going to get very film school sweaty.
I don't remember the specifics, but I thought it was an interesting point.
It's going to be very film school sweaty, so forgive me. But Jean-Luc Picard, who is a very famous filmmaker who recently actually passed away, he had a belief in his filmmaking style in his films that the relationship with the audience and the characters in the film shouldn't be one of personal connection. It should be of solely observance. And basically what he meant by that is he would purposely create emotional connections with characters, but not break that layer with the emotional connection with the audience, because the audience's role was to simply observe things happening. Like that was the audience's role. Yeah. And while this film doesn't, I think, do that on purpose, in regard to, I've seen many people watch this film and very emotionally resonate with it. Yeah. You could tell that mindset exists in a way, but I think in a very positive manner. You know, it's almost like you're watching events unfold at a natural pace and there's nothing you can do to stop what's happening. And you're kind of hoping it goes in the direction you want it to.
It was almost like where it seems like that filmmaker wants to isolate the audience. This one kind of wanted you to be invested in the story, but still be like, but we're observing this thing happening. Like this is just a day in the life, like just observe this. Yes. But not in a way that wants you to feel isolated. It's just at its base, that's what this story is.
Yes. And it really worked, I think. It's a great film. I highly recommend people go see it. It's a wonderful movie.
I think what worked for me just on the story level is I think it's a very moving piece really about kind of what was, what is, and what could have been. But it doesn't go into that sort of fantasy kind of like what could have been, and you see like these future like
like the La La Land ending,
it's almost like the almost like longing, if that'd be the right word, like just this sort of somber overtone, but while still being positive in what is, you know. It's really looking at ways lives could have gone, because also the parallel, if you like, obviously you've seen the trailers and stuff, that parallel of the man stayed in Korea, and you see how that shaped his life and what her life is now, versus through him you get to see glimpses of what her life could have been like in Korea, just from a cultural standpoint. Yeah. And I think that worked really well. I think that the movie gives you a lot of time to sit with the characters and be with them and really build up that connection to the characters. Yeah. Sometimes to its detriment, though. Yeah. I feel like it asks a lot of investment time, because there's just elongated scenes of walking around a park for 20 minutes, and you're like,
basically it felt like I was waiting for like something to happen. Yeah. Like I felt like it was setting me up for a dramatic turn that just never comes.
And I think that I loved the opening scene, if you've seen it, and that works in setting that, but but it also gives you that notion of something's happening and you're waiting for some payoff that you don't get.
Yes. and I want to bring up the opening scene.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. So the movie opens with, for those who've seen the trailer, basically the dynamic of the film is our lead character is now married to somebody in America, but was in love with a boy when she was a child who was still in Korea, and now they have reconnected.
And again, when she was a child.
Yes.
That's kind of the big linchpin.
And when the movie opens, you see the three of them sitting at a bar together, but it's from the POV of people who are people watching, and they're trying to guess what the scenario is with the three people. It was a genius way of creating intrigue into the story, because right away, as soon as people were like, oh, I wonder if they're together but he's doing this and I was like, that is wonderful, because it provided somewhat exposition, but it also, like I said earlier, just creates that intrigue of when the titles, like right when it went into the movie, I was like, all right, I want to know what's going on here. And it was a great way to open the film.
And just the conclusion of that arc and just the emotional way you leave the characters is very moving and very strong. And the ending is fantastic.
Yeah.
From the character standpoint.
Yes.
I did that as the vaguest way possible. But
I don't want to ruin it. Yeah.
The emotional climax of the movie, whether it be happy, sad, whatever you think, works very well.
And there are A1 moments in the film too. Like there's a great moment with the husband and the friend when they sit at the bar together,
and through a language barrier too, that they have to think of like the correct wording to say. It's
a great scene. And going back to Jean-Luc Picard, it's shot very similar in a way from his film My Life to Live, which I love. Like it's almost paying homage to a sequence in that film, which I enjoyed. But honestly, because when the movie ended, we looked at each other. We were like, that movie was pretty good. And then we kept talking about the movie and talking about the movie and talking about the movie. We were like, oh, that movie was really good. Like the fact that we were like, oh, that was a great film.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend that people see it.
Definitely.
If you don't, because it's very limited release right now. If you don't catch it in theaters, please watch it when it becomes available on streaming. It's very emotionally sound, very resonant, and it takes you on a journey that you might see coming, but it's still worth it nonetheless.
Absolutely.
And with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.